guys, I'm Nina.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Ethan.
And we are Bloody Essentials. Just a quick thank you to all of our listeners for supporting the show. It really means a lot to us. So make sure that you follow us, leave a review, little things like that can really help out. So,
That's right.
Yeah,
and tell your
thank
friends.
you.
Yes. Also, a quick shout out to our Patreon members, Rick, Swift, and David. Guys, thank you so much. Your support means the world to us. Not only do you contribute to the most amazing horror podcast out there, but I mean, you're just all around great guys. So
See,
thank
the
you.
things she said right there, both of those are facts.
Yeah,
It's
it's
true.
true. Very
Yep.
true.
I like it when I'm right. All right. And tonight, I'm very excited. Ethan, this was your idea, so
Yes,
yay. We are talking our favorite Stephen King adaptations. So, or at least the top 3 that came to mind first.
Exactly.
I'll explain myself. I might have misunderstood the assignment
fair,
just
maybe
a little
we weren't
bit,
clear.
but
We weren't clear. We were excited.
I
but-
also didn't ask any questions. So I was just like, 3 Stephen King movies, what for? And I was like, this one, and this one.
yeah, you're like, before anybody grabs them, I'm taking them.
Yes.
But before we get into our choices, I want to mention 2 of our Patreon members. They were kind enough to share theirs. Rick just shared that his favorite was one he saw recently, which was actually an indie horror film. It's called October Roses, which is based on a Stephen King short story called Nona. So check that out. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a theory that I think most people would agree with, and that is that Stephen King's short stories make better movies.
I mean, his short stories do adapt really well. There's some really great adaptations out there of some of his short stories. Like some of the better adaptations are short stories.
Some of the
Absolutely.
movies that I think people like that aren't horror fans like came from
Yeah.
short stories. So like Shawshank Redemption and
Big time.
The Green Mile. Like those
Yeah.
are movies that people like that aren't really into his horror stuff. So food for thought, right?
Yeah.
And David shared that his favorite is, of course, Christine. Great movie.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
That one has such a cool vibe and look to it. Like I just think the vibe and like
vibe,
aesthetic
yeah.
of that one is really cool.
It's a very unique Stephen King story, I think.
Yes.
So,
I agree.
Yeah. All right. So, do we want to share Jeremy's picks as well?
Yes.
Do
Yeah.
you have those written down, Ethan? Because Jeremy was supposed to join us tonight, but unfortunately, being a father comes first. So, I mean, not
Always?
unfortunately, fortunately.
Always.
Hey everyone, it's Jeremy. Just popping in to give you my my top picks for Stephen King's movies that I love. My first pick is Thinner. I like Thinner. It's kind of a weird movie. Most people won't be their top picks, but in Thinner, it's like a fat guy that he's a lawyer and he hits a girl on the road with his car, and he has such big pull in the town he lives in that he's able to cover it up with working with other lawyers and stuff. So the dad of the woman that gets killed and hit by him puts a curse on him, and he's a gypsy that the curse makes him lose weight and get thinner and thinner and makes him super sickly. And throughout the movie, he's trying to cut deals with the gypsy to try and make the curse stop and all that. It's a really cool movie. You should check it out. I really like that. Next, my second pick is Dr. Sleep. Basically, it's there's these people. They have this power. It's called the Shining, and they can do multiple things with this power. And then there's another plot in it that there's like this cult of, I guess you could call them vampires, and they live off of this thing called the steam. So these people that have the power of the Shining, when they get tortured, they let out like this, I guess, smoke out of their mouth, and they call it the steam. And when these vampires inhale the steam that comes out of them, it gives them life. So throughout the movie, they're torturing like children and people to try and stay immortal. It takes cool twists and turns throughout the movie. It's definitely a cool one to check out. And then my third and final Stephen King adaptation I like. This is definitely not a popular one. It's Maximum Overdrive. People either love this movie or hate this movie. It's super campy. It's just a goofy movie. I love it. I like how strange it is. So basically in this movie, there's like a rogue comet that the Earth passes, and it basically has this effect over like anything electronic, motors, anything like that, and they basically come to life and have a mind of their own. And basically throughout the movie, there's these parts where like the vehicles are actually holding up these people at a gas station, like holding them up as hostage, making them do stuff they want, like making them fill up the gas tanks of all the trucks, or they'll kill them. It's a pretty wild movie. I think it's really cool. Check it out. You're either gonna love it or hate it. I've never met anyone in between that's like, it's okay. You're with it or you're not. I usually pick movies that are obscure and people either love it or hate it, or it's just like, what? So that's probably why I picked all these random movies instead of the ones that most people know and love. So yeah, that's my pick. So let's check out everyone else's pick.
All right. So let's get into our picks for the evening. Jamie, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Should I tell all of them, or are we gonna
just one?
Let's
do round robin.
Okay.
Round robin.
Sure. So I will say that I just picked 3 Stephen King movies that popped into my mind first. And one of them on my list is a favorite, and I do also really, really like the other 2. So the first one I'm going to start with is probably the newest one on our whole list tonight, which is The Monkey. Just came out. That was Oz Perkins, who gave us Long Legs, which I really loved. That's Anthony Perkins' son. And I know Ethan has seen it. Have you seen it yet, Nina?
No, it's still not free on streaming.
Okay. I really loved it. I will say it's probably not for everybody, but it's definitely a dark comedy. It's pretty bonkers and fun. The kills, in my opinion, are great. And it's got a really good sense of humor. So I'm not going to give away any spoilers on this one because it's still pretty brand new. And like Nina said, it's not available for free on streaming yet. So I'm not going to give away anything too spoilery. I'm going to keep like the plot pretty minimal here.
Perfect.
The basic story is that 2 twin brothers discover this toy monkey that was left behind by their father. It turns out that when the monkey plays its drums, people die in horrible, horrible ways. I will say that kind of kicks off with like their babysitter being killed by accident at a hibachi restaurant.
That's so fun.
Which is so fun and amazing. And that's not even like the first kill of the movie, but it's the first kill where we're starting to see what happens with the monkey. Okay.
Yeah.
So, the boys end up getting rid of it, think that it's all gone, that they took care of it. Years later, our main character, one of the brothers, Hal, he's pretty messed up. He's estranged from his brother. He's estranged from his son. His aunt dies in an insane way, so he has a feeling that this monkey thing is maybe back. So he decides to go back to her house, tries to kind of like end this, for once and for all. And I'll just kind of leave it at that because I really don't want to give away too much in the ending.
Yeah. That's basically what I knew about it already.
Right, exactly. I thought there were a lot of really fun people involved with this. You got Oz Perkins, you got Elijah Wood. If any of you are fans of Schitt's Creek, Sarah Levy, who plays Twyla, is in it, and she's great. Oz Perkins has a little cameo. Roman Campbell from Halloween Ends.
I like him.
Yep.
I really like him too. I wasn't huge on Halloween Ends, but I thought he was great.
He did a great job. And
Yes.
He's a really good sport in person at cons. Like, it's not easy showing up in a less than desired Halloween film, and like he's so kind. So
Amen. And like I just think he's a great actor. There's something about him that I just really like. Like I even liked his performance in Halloween Ends.
I did too.
I wasn't a fan of the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
But I thought his performance was great. So everybody who's in it is really fun. Adam Scott has a little part in it too. I really like him. I think he's super fun. What else was I going to say? It's based on a story. I think it's a short story as well. It's from his book Skeleton Crew.
Yes.
I think like some people's main complaints are that like, the pace is a little unusual. I didn't mind it at all. I will say that Stephen King himself said he really enjoyed this movie. He praised the batshittery of it all, which I thought it was amazing. He said it's batshit and insane and a whole lot of fun. So he really, really liked this one. And I also thought it was interesting. So Oz Perkins definitely made the story more comedic. It was more comedic than the book, or the story, I should say. It was more comedic than the original draft of the screenplay. He just wanted to bring that kind of horror element into it. And, he had an interesting, like, kind of take, or like the story resonated with him in an interesting way. Because sadly, his parents died in very headline making ways. And he said, when that happens, you just have like some feelings about it. And it took him quite some time to kind of like get past those feelings, and that feeling of like, this is so unfair, basically what happened to his parents. Right. So he had a really interesting kind of resonance with the story. For anybody who hasn't seen this one yet, I definitely think it's well worth a watch. One of my favorite new horror movies to come out. Just a lot of fun. I mean, the deaths in this are totally crazy and bonkers, and they're different every single time. Like literally this monkey plays, and like the deaths are insane.
I can't wait to watch it. I've been excited to see it since I found out it was coming out. So I love Oz Perkins. He's quickly becoming one of my new favorite horror directors. So very excited.
What do you think,
agree
Ethan?
with you, Jamie. Yeah. It was an awesome movie. I thought it was great. A lot of fun. Kills are great. And like you said, they're different every time. It wasn't, they were just rehashed. So I think everybody did a very good job, acting in it. I thought it was great. I think it's definitely worth going to see.
Nice.
Yeah.
So.
And I will say too, I really like, I do really like objects in horror movies. So I love the monkey itself. I was like, that's really fun. Fun is like the best way that I can describe it. I was literally like grinning pretty much like from the opening scene to like the end. And all the kills definitely had me grinning, but that's how we roll around here.
How about the opening kill, Jamie?
I don't even want to give it away because
that's why I didn't say it, but wasn't that great?
It was so like literally it was like, I remember even posting a Facebook story. I think I was like, I am like not even 5 minutes into this movie and like I am already so happy.
Aw, I love that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into my first pick. I'm going to try and do these in order of which one's my most favorite. So we're going to go third here. It is Storm of the Century from 1999. It is a miniseries. And I'm just going to like briefly go over the plot and like some other writing things, because a lot of people, like if you give them a Stephen King adaptation, they're going to be searching for the book. So I tried to include that as well. So this is a miniseries. It came out in 1999, and it's basically where a dangerous blizzard hits an isolated town on an island, and it brings along a mysterious stranger intent on terrorizing people for his own desires. And not just like the tip of the iceberg with this miniseries, okay? Stephen King himself said that this is his favorite TV special, like so far, that has been made of his work. And and I think that the reason why is because it was adapted straight from a screenplay he wrote specifically. And the script was later published as a book, so you can read it, but it's basically just the script of the film. It's not a novelization. But he's the only person that had writing credit for the series. And I have read it just out of curiosity, and it is literally like verbatim, like the movie. So they didn't steer far away from the script, which is not very common, especially with TV. So It's pretty impressive. Definitely recommend. I remember watching it for the first time on cable, and like I was sick, I wasn't feeling good, and I like in a fever, like it was a great movie to watch. So yeah, it's very good. Lots of fun 90s actors in it, and yeah, I think it's a great miniseries. So highly recommend.
Okay.
Have you guys seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. Now it's been a while since I've seen it, but I do remember liking it. I liked like how it was set up. I liked like the overall kind of feel of it. It was cool. Like definitely want to rewatch that one.
Yeah.
Very supernatural-esque. Lots of, as is typical with a lot of Stephen King, lots of good versus evil, and also like humanity is the true, like they're the real monsters, which I love.
Yeah,
because he writes villains so well, especially ones that are human. So
yes,
definitely does.
And same as you, Jamie, I remember seeing it back like when it came out on TV, and I don't think I've probably rewatched it since then, but I do remember liking it and thinking, oh, this is a good series.
Yeah.
Miniseries. Would I go back and watch it? Well, it's been 20 some years, so
you're due for a rewatch.
I was going to say, so I haven't, but I guess it's time for a rewatch.
I will say
it's
a bit
time.
of a
same.
Yeah, it is a bit of a pain to find, but I think I found it on eBay. And like it's so worth it. Like definitely, like even if you've never seen it, I guarantee you're probably going to enjoy it because it's just very eerie, supernatural-esque, and it's super creepy. I love it.
I actually think I have it.
I bet you do. The kills I remember are super gory too.
Yeah. So I know when Blockbuster was going out of business there, I walked into Blockbuster and I was like, "Where's your horror section?" And she's like, "Oh, our horror section's here." She's like, "There's the Stephen King section here." I was like, "I'd like all of those, please." And she's like, "Which ones?" I was like, "All of them."
All of them.
Don't even need to look. I want all of them.
Yeah,
you made the whole store. All of your.
Yeah, no, I was like all of them.
So
she's like, "There's like 12 different movies." I was like, "I would like all of them, please."
Oh, only 12? Okay.
So, yeah. So she took those 12 down and she was like, "Okay." Now they did have some of his horror stuff not in the Stephen King section of horror, but just in horror.
Right.
Which
interesting.
I'm a little confused, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, the rest of the horror section, she's like, "Let me guess, you want all of them?" And laughed, and I was like, "I would like all of those." So I left. I left.
You
with
don't know who you're talking to.
Yeah, I left with literally like 200 movies. She was like,
"I
you
love
really want all of these?" I was like, "Yes, I'd like all of these." So I'm like, "Lady, you're selling them for like $2 a piece."
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
She's like, "Don't you want to go through them?" I'm like, "No, because if I already have them, I'll just give them away."
Exactly.
Exactly.
Which I did. So
yeah.
It's like, bag up the DVDs, ma'am. I got movies to watch, okay?
Ethan, what's your first pick?
All right, my first pick. When I did these, I did not realize Stephen King did as many movies as Stephen King did. So I picked the first three that I knew off the top of my head, and I was like, nope. As I started doing research, I was like, I didn't realize he did that. I didn't realize he did that. I didn't realize he did that. So
I even had to remind you what one of your favorites was.
I know.
We had that conversation before.
So I went ahead and I changed some of them up. But anyway, my first one, this is one that was still on the list. Great horror anthology, Creepshow.
Yeah.
Creepshow is so freaking awesome. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to pick Creepshow 1 or Creepshow 2 because they're both adaptations of Stephen King's work. But I'm going to have to go with 1 because that was written by Stephen King and directed by George Romero.
No. So, that's like a dream team combo right there.
I mean, that's awesome. I think the best one in the whole thing from part 1 is Father's Day.
Yes. Oh
I love that. I love that short story. Father's Day is awesome. I mean, they're all great.
Yeah.
They're all great. Even in Creepshow 2, all of them are wonderful.
Yes.
I love them all, but Father's Day is awesome. Got to give a shout out to The Crate too.
Yes. Oh my God.
That's a great one. I so fought with myself. In Michigan, they have probably the size of my desk, a thing from The Crate. And I was like, I need to bring that home. And I was like, I don't really have any room for it. And I was like, we could put it in the living room. And then I was like, Stacy's probably not really going to want this thing in the living room. Yeah, I'm like, no. And I'm like, maybe if we can close it and use it like as a coffee table and then open it up and have him come up. But yeah, I like being married. So I opted against that one. Actually, it had nothing to do with being married. I couldn't get it in the car to get it back from Michigan.
Okay.
So that's,
I was gonna say I don't care.
Yeah, so
why isn't it there?
That's kind of what that was. So I'm like, I can't get it in here. So, but yes, no,
well,
I think that Creepshow is probably, I know, well, I'll fight about it, but probably the best horror of Stephen King.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
No, don't get me wrong. I love some of his other work. Love Carrie. Love Pet Sematary. But Creepshow, I don't know if it's because I watched it when I was when I was young, and it's rewatchable, and I rewatch that probably, I don't know, a couple times a year.
That's fair.
1 and 2. Yeah. So that to me, it's just, that's it.
Okay.
That's my favorite.
The effects in that movie are so great. Like, I love the effects in that movie. Just super fun. Like, I mean, I'm never going to say no if somebody's like, hey, should we put on Creepshow or what? And it's like, yes, we should. It's also another one of those movies that when I was younger, the cover of that movie, like, stared into my soul at the video store. Yes, I was always 100%. Curious about it. You know what I mean? I wanted it. I wanted to watch that movie because of the cover.
Yes.
So
without even knowing any details about it, like without really knowing, much about Stephen King at that point, or even Romero, I was like younger, but the cover just made me like, what is that? That looks cool.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Out of the creep shows, you have Father's Day, The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill, Something to Tide You Over, The Crate, Old Chief Woodenhead, The Raft, and The Hitchhiker. Which one is your favorite out of all of them? This is honestly, part 1 and 2.
I hate to piggyback off of you, but I really love Father's Day as well. Okay. It's really a good one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Father's Day, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my favorite out of all of them.
Okay. Is there any that you didn't like? Or if you had, because I liked them all, but if you had to remove one of them from existence, which one would it be?
Oh, I'd really have to think about it. I haven't seen the second one in quite a minute.
Which one's the one where... it's really hard.
I know, because they are all good.
Yeah, they all have their own like strong points to them. I mean, none of them are really super weak. Some anthologies, there's usually one or two that kind of stand out because they're weaker than the rest. But this one, like Creepshow, I don't really think has a standout weak one.
Yeah, it's tough. I hate to say it because like I loved it, but like of all of them, it's probably my least favorite, and it's the one with Leslie Nielsen.
Okay.
Yeah,
Something
I think that's
Something to Tide You Over.
Yeah, I think that of all of them, that's probably the weaker of them. Yeah.
Okay. And see, I would say, and I know it's a Stephen King show, but it's the one that Stephen King was in, The Lonesome Death of Jory Todd, where the meteor comes.
I know.
No, that was comedic. I mean, and it was funny and it was comedic, and but out of all of them, if I had to take any of them out, I would take that out because that was more comedic than it was horror.
It is.
I like that one.
But I love it.
I like it. No, don't get me wrong. I like it, but I'm like...
That's probably my favorite after Father's Day.
Okay, but I'm like, it's not horror enough for me.
That's fair.
So,
that's fair.
Yeah.
But that would be the only reason that I'm like, okay, this is a Stephen King show, and I'm going to talk about taking the one with Stephen King out of it. So...
Yeah.
But,
no, that one always makes me laugh because like that's like we always get like cameos with Stephen King, but like we don't get a full-on scene.
I know.
Where he's the star, and so like it makes me so happy because
and he really goes for it.
He goes for it. He doesn't care. He hams it up, and it's great. So
yeah.
All right, Jamie, what's your second?
Okay, so I mean, I feel like can you really have a Stephen King show without talking about it a little bit? Come on. We're talking about one of the most iconic horror movie characters. Well, so what I did is, I decided I'd talk just a tiny bit about each, not going into super lot of detail here. We know the story pretty much. Basically these kids have to fight this evil entity, Pennywise, and then they have to return 30 years later as adults, when he comes back.
You know why I think you like it?
Why?
It's a killer clown from outer space.
There you go.
I
love me some killer clowns from outer space. We know this.
I see what you did right there. You're funny.
Yeah, we know this. So the miniseries I've always loved. The thing that I think is kind of cool about it, I was born in '88. This movie obviously came out before, but there were still people in my age group who were like scared of clowns because of this movie. So I feel like this miniseries, this movie, like scared children for like a good number of generations, and it's still doing so in its own way, especially with the new ones. Yes. So really appreciate that about it. I love the child actors, just like Stephen King. Stephen King really thought the child actors in that one were great. We have some amazing actors in that too, little Seth Green. I'm sorry, Seth Green. And we have some other really fun people in it. It's funny because, Tim Curry, let's just talk about him for a minute as Pennywise. Obviously wonderful. Another element of the miniseries that Mr. King really, really loved. He loved, Tim Curry's performance and Tim Curry as that character. He's great, iconic. Obviously, we all have that image in our head of Pennywise. I even, this is not a particularly like gory or it's not a particularly scary movie. It didn't scare me. I saw it when I was younger. I will say Georgie's death always scared me. Yes. As a kid, I thought that was scary. I still think that's a pretty scary moment.
Yes.
Obviously, the new ones kind of ramp up the horror. And I will say the thing about both of the versions, I've always liked the kids part of the story more than the adult part of the story. Miniseries and the new ones too. The miniseries, we get it like kind of like back and forth, and then the new ones broke it up into two sections, like the kids and the adults.
Right.
I always thought the kids' story was better. Yeah,
I think most people would agree with you. I don't think I know a single person that thinks the adult section is better. I think it's just the innocence mixed with the true evilness of what Pennywise is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And something that I really liked about the miniseries, I feel like it does a super great job of like capturing the era that it's set in. It has a very like nostalgic feel. I think it really like does a good job of portraying that like innocence of childhood and like the childhood experience. So yeah, really, really like that one. Let me see what I wrote down here. Richie was my favorite character.
Always, yeah.
Yeah. Stephen King, again, with the miniseries, loved Tim Curry. He loved the fact that it scared lots of kids. That's Mr. Stephen King for us. He did think that it missed some of the complexity of his book. He has some mixed feelings about it, some mixed feelings about some of the things that were different about it. But overall, I think he liked that one pretty well. With the new ones, Stephen King praised the new ones for their faithfulness to his story. He said he loved Bill's, rendition of Pennywise. He thought it captured a lot of the fun and scariness from his story.
Yeah.
He liked the humor in it, but he thought that there were points where it did take away a little bit from the story.
Yeah.
He said that he wanted more exploration of the characters and of Derry in these movies, in the new ones.
Could see that for sure.
Yeah, but he did actually, pop up in chapter 2 for a cameo.
It was a great scene.
It really, really is. And he even I think he even had some suggestions for them for part 2. Like he did give a little bit of his voice to that one.
Uh-huh.
The second one, the chapter 2 does add some new kind of storyline things, like Richie, being being gay, basically, or like having feelings towards one of the other kids.
Yeah.
And Stephen King actually like thought that was pretty cool. Like he's like, I praise movies, I praise adaptations that do stuff that is a good idea and like builds upon it. And he's like, with like the story that they wove into that, he actually liked that and said like, yeah, it wasn't my intention, it wasn't how I wrote it, but I liked where they went with it.
Yeah.
I really liked chapter 1. I thought that was pretty good. I thought the effects were cool. I liked the direction they took with Pennywise. I liked that they amped up the horror. Part 2, I did not think was as strong, but again, it's more the adult story, and I never thought that part was the strongest part of the story. What are your guys' thoughts on it?
Ethan?
You pretty much summed everything up that we were saying. I would have liked a little backstory as well, which you guys know we are getting, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
HBO
I think
Max,
that's going to be great.
Yes. Yeah, is doing that Welcome to Derry, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
To get some backstory of where he comes from and all that, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
But that was my only complaint with either one of them. I would have liked to have known a little bit more about where he came from. Yeah. But overall, I enjoy both versions of the movie. Obviously, the earlier version with Tim Curry. Didn't think it was all that scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it was a TV version. So, I mean, it wasn't all that scary, but it was very entertaining. I really liked it. I do like the new version. I think the kids in both of them are
so good.
Much better.
Yeah.
I mean, they all did a really good job. Obviously, we've met most of the ones from the new ones at cons. Now, the old ones, I've met a few of them, and well, they're all old like me now, but they're all very cool. I wish you could have met Jonathan Brandis. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is as far as that. But yeah, no, I think that's a great pick.
Yeah.
For both of them.
Yeah, I agree. I really enjoy it, the miniseries and the new movies. I agree with you, Jamie. I think the kids part 1 is far better than the adults. And I do agree with Stephen King as well. Like, I think that the humor does kind of take away from some major, like, ick stuff happening on screen. And also, like, some of their responses don't always seem, like, genuine because they're just trying to be funny. And that's not a bad thing. Like, it works, but, like, it also kind of detracts from Stephen King's work because, like, I think the most fascinating part of it is Pennywise and the town, because like this town is basically infected with this evil, and like that is amazing because like it's been going on for decades.
Yeah.
And people never leave this town. So I think it's a very interesting concept because it's basically an extension of Pennywise itself. So I'm very excited that we're getting the TV series to delve further into that. Because if you're not willing to commit to a book this big, you're never going to know about even a quarter of it. And I will say, I've read the book. I enjoyed it, but I'll never read it again. It's too much.
Yeah.
There are some sections that even I was like, I can't. I skipped past some.
Yeah, there's some scenes that neither of the adaptations have done from the book,
right?
And that's not what the scene that most people are thinking I'm talking about is not the one I'm talking about. I don't do animal torture.
Yeah.
So, yep, and it's explained very gruesomely and very detailed, and I can't do that. So, the other thing that most people think I was talking about, that's a whole nother topic.
But there's definitely like several things in the book that like none of the film TV versions, they're like, we're not going to do that particular
and
scene.
even Stephen King is like, I don't know what I was thinking. That was probably the cocaine.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say.
Yeah. All right. My number 2 pick is also a mini series. I'm sorry. But it is Rose Red. From 2002. Julian Sands, rest in peace. Love him so much. But if you don't know what Rose Red is, it is about a college professor and a team of psychics who investigate an old mansion, and it's at the request of the man who actually inherited it. And they all stay in the mansion, but it unleashes a terrifying force that threatens to destroy all of them. And once again, Stephen King is the only person that got writing credit for it because he did the screenplay directly for this. It is loosely based on Sarah Winchester and the Winchester house. As soon as you start to watch it, you can quickly figure that out. And it also has very strong ties to Shirley Jackson's A Haunting, which Haunting of Hill House is based on. There is no actual Stephen King novel for this. Again, it's just a screenplay that he wrote. But there is a prequel. He didn't write that, but somebody else did to promote Rose Red, and also a prequel TV film that came out called The Diary of Ellen Rimbauer, who is like the original owner of the house and stuff. So that's a good read if you are a fan of Rose Red. If you haven't read it, it's just like diary segments, as you might guess. But if you love Haunting of Hill House, and if you're fascinated by ghost stories and the Winchester house itself, that is a real place, like, highly recommend Rose Red. If you know me, I love supernatural horror. I love haunted house stories. So I was a big fan of this one ever since I was a kid. The set pieces are gorgeous. Like, the acting is great. Great group of characters in this film. And like I said, like, Stephen King knows how to write characters like no other. So
yeah. This one's actually, I have not seen this one. It's been on my list for ages.
Oh, it's so good, Jamie. You would love it.
I know. And as everything I've heard about it, and just hearing you talk about it, I'm like, yeah, that has me written all over it. So I've been meaning to watch this one for a long time. So
if you like Burnt Offerings, it's very similar to that, where the house kind of takes the life force of the people in it.
I like me a house that's like up to no good. So
I do too. Yeah, I do too. So very similar to that. And the psychics, like, it kind of feeds off of the psychic energy, and it's a lot of fun, and lots of great characters besides just Julian Sands and like people you would recognize. So yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I actually have not seen it either.
Wow.
Yeah. I have not seen it either.
We got to watch it, Ethan.
I was going to say, we're going to have to watch it and get back with you and tell you what we think. But
yeah,
we're going to have a movie night is what I think.
Yeah, we are.
There you do.
It's a long ass movie, but it's worth it. And
we'll have snacks.
These are both directed by the same person. So
excellent.
Craig Baxley. There you go. That's probably why I like both of those so much.
There we go.
All
right. Ethan?
All right. Well, my second one is from 1988, starring Ian McKellen, Brad Renfro, and David Schwimmer. Have you guys ever seen Apt Pupil?
I have.
I haven't. I've been wanting to see that one too.
Okay. Basically what this is, there's this 16-year-old boy who's in school, and there's this old man in the town who everybody's like, he's a weirdo, he's crazy, he's have nothing to do with them.
Yep.
So they're learning about World War II and Hitler and stuff. So this kid is like, there's something up with this guy. So he starts to do his research, and he's like, could it be? No, I think it is. And he has a little fight with himself. So he goes to his house, knocks on the door, and he's like, hey, how are you? I need to talk to you. And he's like, I don't need to talk to you about anything. So he like basically comes back, forces his way in. He's like, listen, I know that you were in the war. I know that you were a Nazi. I know you're here illegally. Change your name, all this stuff. And he's like, you lost your damn mind. No, no, I'm not. I get out. And he's like, I have all the evidence. I have your fingerprints. I have this. I have this. I have this. So either you do one of two things: sit down and talk to me and tell me what happened and what's going on, or I'm going to go to the authorities. So reluctantly, he sits down. He starts talking to him. So he's like, okay, tell me more. Tell me more. And he's getting all into it. And he's like, I need to know everything, not just you killed him. When you threw him in there, what sounds did they make? What degrees was the oven? I mean, he is getting really into it. And as he's telling him, so he comes back a few times, as he's telling him, he's starting to revert back to his old Hitler ways. and become a Nazi again. So one day he's like, I want you to put this on, and it's his Nazi regalia. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And he's like, you're going to do it. I'm going to call the police. And it's kind of that little blackmail thing. And so he ends up putting it on, and he like goes into full like friggin' Hitler mode. He like starts marching up and down the thing, doing the Heil Hitler sign. And it's a very, very good movie. And then I won't give too much of it away in case somebody hasn't seen it. I know you haven't. There are some things that happen, and David Schwimmer's the teacher, and David Schwimmer comes to try to like rescue the kid, and the kid's like, no, I won't go there, but just watch the movie. It's a very, very good movie. I think the performances by everybody in that movie was absolutely stellar.
Highly underrated film.
Very, very underrated.
Okay.
Yeah. And the book is great too.
Okay, yeah, I have not read the book, but the movie?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Love it. Could not recommend that movie. And they do have this down as horror/thriller.
Yeah.
I don't think I would consider it horror. It's got horror elements because of what it's talking about.
Sure. Yeah.
But I would categorize it more as a thriller drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would. I wouldn't consider it a horror movie, but one of Stephen King's better adaptations, in my opinion. If you have not seen it, go see it.
And again, I believe, I could be wrong, it's been a while, but I think Apt People is also a short story. So
it is. I'm sorry. That's it is based on King's short story on his book, Different Seasons.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Oh.
I've read several of his short story collections. I really enjoy his short stories. I think I enjoy them more than his novels. So
yeah.
So.
He's very good at that format. I mean, and Stephen King is like, he is like, this is like the duh statement of all time, but he is such a prolific writer. It is crazy how many
he's
books.
Got two, as of recording right now, he's got 2 books that are sitting on top of like the bestsellers list for New York Times.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
No, just the sheer volume of writing that he's done in his career is insane. And he even has pen names where he's written under different names, like
Richard Bachman.
Yes, and if you've never read his book on writing, it's one of my favorite books of his ever. It's not a horror story, obviously, but as a writer, it really speaks to me, and it's great. If you've never read it, I highly, highly recommend Stephen King's On Writing.
If you just want to get to learn more about Stephen King, it's basically like a mini biography.
I was going to say very much a biography.
Yeah, I had to read it for high school English class because it was like a writing class, and it was so good. Like, it was just cool to have a book that I could read in high school where there was cursing.
Yeah,
like,
I know. Oh my gosh.
I was like, hell yeah, like Stephen King's saying the F word and I'm allowed to read this in school. Like, fuck yeah. Like,
yeah, it's like Stephen King was the man.
He was like, I wish he was my dad. Like, so jealous of Joe Hill. But like, it's a really fun read, and like it's really cool to like hear about his perspective on like different stages in his life throughout his writing.
Yes.
So
fascinating. And it's a great way to learn more about him.
Yes. And it's a super short read.
It is super easy.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi, everybody. Just wanted to thank all of you guys for listening and supporting the podcast. If you haven't already, please follow us, like us, leave us a review. Little things like this can really help the podcast out so much. Also, if you want to hear your name mentioned in our episodes at the beginning and receive fun little goodies from the entire Bloody Essentials team, you can join our Patreon. It's 100% like no commitment. All the proceeds go back into the podcast. It helps us upgrade our recording equipment, our editing software, all those good things. And it also helps pay for our travel expenses with our upcoming appearances. So that can add up really fast, but we're looking to hopefully expand to other conventions and, going to other states to see spooky attractions. So funds like that will help significantly. Also, I don't know if you guys know, but before we can actually like start receiving funds through YouTube and things like that, as horror creators, we need at least 500 followers on YouTube. So if you aren't already following us, but you listen to us and you really like our content, please like us, subscribe, it really helps out so much, and it allows us to keep doing what we're doing. So we love bringing horror to you each week, whether it's content creators, our thoughts on a film. So we really want to keep doing this for as long as possible. And money is unfortunately a big way to stay on top of that. So like I said, all of your support really means a lot, and you get fun little goodies from all of us. You know, we got Bloody Essentials merch, we got horror goodies that we've been saving for you guys, whether it's stickers, horror collectibles, like I'm talking like shirts from your favorite horror companies, Fright Rags, all those good places. And then, of course, we've got some NECA figures and all those kinds of things. So if you want to receive fun horror goodies from your Bloody Essentials crew, join our Patreon. It's going to be a really good time. We also have a Discord channel and unedited episodes before they air. So that's always exciting. And we're hoping to be doing movie parties really soon. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, just thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll get back to the show now. Jamie, what's your final pick?
So my last pick, and I do really love this movie, and I think it's interesting because like I always like to see when we talk about a movie, just curious about what other people thought about it, like in general, like what people think about this one. And this one is kind of mixed. Like some people have mixed, you know, aren't huge on this one, which I never really understood because I really love it. I think it's one of the better adaptations. And that is Pet Sematary. And no, I'm not going to talk about the remake, and I'm not going to talk about the subsequent, you know, Pet Sematary movies. I'm just going to focus on the OG.
Okay.
I love this movie. I just rewatched it like yesterday. I will just start off by saying I think it's like beautiful how it's shot, the overall look of it, like the aesthetic of it, the score in it, all of that, really, really gorgeous. Pretty much everybody knows the story, but we follow the Creed family, and they're pretty likable, like normal family, right? They just moved to rural Maine from Chicago, I believe.
Yeah.
And, you know, they move into this home. He's a doctor. They move into this home near this really dangerous highway. You get all this foreshadowing with these trucks just like flying up and down the road. You know, they immediately have this neighbor who enters their lives, Judd, infamous character, played by none other than our Herman Munster, you know, Fred Gwynne, is that how you say this? Yes. And what an iconic character, like his voice, you know, he described it as, I put that character on like a pair of overalls, and I'm like, oh,
yeah. And he wears them so well. Like,
yes, he does.
You wouldn't, if you didn't know better, if you had never seen Herman Munster before, you'd never know. Like,
right?
Yeah.
You would just assume that this is a guy that lives in Maine. It looks effortless. He makes it look effortless.
Yeah, yes. And I think he's a fascinating character. And I've not seen Bloodlines. I know that they kind of delve into Judd a little bit more. I've not seen it.
Don't.
But yeah, I know. I was like,
don't waste your time.
I've heard some pretty bad things about it, so it's not high on my list. But I will say, I always have thought he was a very, very interesting character because, you know, he's like very much like there's a lot of like love there. Like he seems to care about the family quite a bit, but at the same time, like you really like kind of like are unsure about like who he is, what his motivations are because of what he introduces Lewis to and everything. It's like what is his intention? Like who is he at his heart? Like he's a little hard to read in a really interesting way. You know, the cat dies, you know, Judd basically is like, well, let's go to the pet cemetery and, you know, do something there. And obviously it has bad results. And then we have the tragedy of Gage. That scene. I know. And wasn't he cute as hell in this movie?
Yes.
Fun fact too, they actually, so with the daughter, they got twins, you know, and because that's ideal when you're casting a child because of laws on
time
how
constraints.
Long yes. Now they wanted to do that with this character as well, but because they thought he was so talented and so great for the role, they were like, nope, we're just going to go with him. Even though he doesn't have a twin, we're just going to go with him because he's the right person for this role. Yeah. And he is so cute. And I have to say, although it's not a very gory moment, but the moment that he is struck by the truck is like, it like guts you. It guts me every time.
Oh God, yeah.
The little
all you see is the shoe.
Bloody shoe. Everything
That's all you
about
need to
it.
see. Your mind does the rest of the work. And it's
Absolutely.
and that was Stephen King's greatest fear as well, because he used to live in a house right next to a busy highway.
And I'll
I
get
think
into
that
it.
almost happened to him, his kid.
Yeah, I'll get into it a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very well done. It's very emotional. That scene gets me every time. Obviously, it has horrible, results when he brings him to the pet cemetery and buries him there. I will just say I love the themes in this. First of all, the idea of the pet cemetery, like it's something that I think resonates with all of us, I love the misspelling. It gives it that like childlike thing to it as well. Great foreshadowing throughout. It's not a particularly like gory movie, but the special effects in this movie are fucking awesome. Okay.
Terrifying.
Zelda, truly, truly scary. Truly scary. I know that Zelda like haunts people's like lives. Like Zelda is terrifying. Yeah. And then just like the sadness of this movie, you can really relate to it as well. I'm going to get into a little bit about what Stephen King had to say about Pet Sematary. Okay. So Stephen King did the screenplay for this one. And I think overall he likes this one pretty well. Stephen King said that out of all the books that he wrote, that this is the only one that scared him. He actually had this shelved for quite a while because he thought that it was too bleak and nihilistic, that it pushed too far the limits of what people could and were willing to accept. He wrote it at a dark time in his life. This was when he was in the grips of alcoholism and substance. It has a lot of personal ties to him because he moved his family to, a little town. They lived very close to a busy highway. His daughter's cat did die, I think he said. His son did almost get struck by a truck. It does touch on his deepest fear, which is losing a child. So yeah, this book, in his own words, like revisiting it did not feel good. He didn't have fond memories around this book. He said he had fun writing it until he was done and read it. And he was like, it's even too bleak and nihilistic for me. The only reason he ended up publishing it was like a contractual thing. Like he needed to put out another book kind of thing. But he shelved it for a while because, he just thought it was too bleak and too dark even for him. So, originally Romero was going to direct this as well.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh my God. And the only reason he didn't is because he was working on something else or ended up working on something else. But I'm like, oh my God.
That's a bummer, but I'm really glad that we got who we got to direct it because she's amazing.
Yeah, she is really amazing. So still got a good director, but I was like, oh wow, Romero is going to direct this thing. Like, wow.
Yeah, that would have been a completely different movie.
It would have been completely different. And it has a fun cameo with King. He plays the minister, and we get like a nice moment of him, doing So I really love this movie. Again, some people apparently aren't into it, and the only thing that Stephen King kind of had criticisms about that I read, and a lot of people feel this way too, is he thought some of the acting was kind of stiff at points. He thought that the mom came off as cold at points. He thought that the guy who played the dad, that he was stiff at points. That's generally, I think, kind of agreed upon. But other than that, I think he liked it. He didn't have any problems with the story. He just thought the acting at times,
I could see that,
did a disservice to the story.
I always thought
Makes
that the
sense.
mom, like I wrote off the mom's coldness at times towards the kids and just to her husband, as like she's still dealing with the trauma of what happened to her sister and like living with all of this stuff going on. Like it's not helping things. So that's what I always attributed it to. I love the movie. Never read the book because the movie scared the shit out of me. I need to read the book because I've heard it's really good.
I have too.
This movie literally traumatized me. Like, it's just like you were saying, the Zelda thing, like, literally gave me nightmares for years. And because it's so bleak, it's not one I revisit very often, but it is such a great film. It's very well done. We won't talk about the rest of them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
That's when like,
I
I'm not
agree.
going to bring up the other ones.
Nope.
The first one is all that we
It's the
need.
only one that
But
exists. Yeah,
I think it's a great movie, and I do like bleak, dreary movies
I
sometimes.
do
And this
too.
one is. It really is touching on like, loss and grief and like
Yeah.
this. Who wouldn't want? If you knew you had that power, that ability, like who wouldn't have that question in their
Temptation.
minds, that the
Oh,
desire in their
definitely.
mind to bring back their child, to bring back their love, their wife,
Yeah.
you really can kind of feel for Lewis, and even the cat, he doesn't want his daughter to be
Yeah.
heartbroken about the cat. So
Yeah.
I think the character of Lewis
Lewis.
is a
Yeah.
really good, solid dude.
Yeah.
The actor, yeah, he's stiff a little bit sometimes, but I think he's a really solid character.
He sells it
Agreed.
at the
He's a good
end.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Relatable.
I agree. I think the movie is really, really, really good. Zelda's
Yeah.
scary as hell.
Yeah.
Bitch is creepy.
Yeah.
Movie, although it's a horror movie, it makes you feel your feels
Yeah.
in all aspects.
That's why I don't like to watch it.
Yeah, you feel a range of emotions in there, not just oh my god, I'm scared. It really makes you feel, and I really do like it. I think it's one of his better movies. So
Yeah.
or adaptations.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
and I have to agree, the other ones don't exist, especially Bloodlines.
Oh,
Lord and Savior,
definitely the
why?
worst one.
That's
Oh,
Literally-
horrible.
Literally in
Horrible.
order of how it comes out, the 1990s Pet Cemetery 2. It's okay. It's watchable.
It's okay.
Doable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Two
with
is
Edward
okay.
Furlong? Yeah,
It's
that
okay.
one's doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The newest one, or the new one that came out before Bloodlines, not a fan, but I like
No.
the ending where they all became. I did like that twist. Don't get me wrong. And that's what most people hated about it. But I was like, okay, they made it through them. Whatever. Not mad at that. The newest one shouldn't even exist, period.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
They
I've not
completely
seen it,
ruined
but
that
not heard.
character.
Not heard good things about it.
Yeah.
And I don't think you will from anybody.
No.
Yeah, I haven't yet.
Yeah.
All right. My number one pick, it's not a miniseries. It is
What?
1408. This movie gets shit
Oh.
on. This movie gets shit on, and it makes me so mad. It's very undeserved. I love this movie. Okay, first off, came out in 2007. You've got John Cusack and Samuel L. Jackson. Like, come on, what's not to love?
They're lovable.
Yeah, they're so lovable, especially the banter back and forth that you get. But if you've never seen it, I'm not going to do spoilers because I feel like this is a slept on movie of his, but it's basically about an author, surprise, surprise, who specializes in debunking paranormal occurrences. And he ends up checking into the fabled room 1408 in the Dolphin Hotel in New York City that's rumored to be haunted. And he settles in and soon confronts genuine terror. This is based on a short story, same title, from 1999. It's in a collection called Everything's Eventual. And the movie, I will say, stays mostly true to the basic plot of the original story. There's been some complaints about certain things that they changed, but a lot of things that they added was only to flesh out the movie into like a feature-length film because it's a really short story, obviously.
Okay.
Basically, for the film version, they added more backstory on John Cusack's character and who he was because, like, you didn't know anything about him other than like what he did for a living. So in this, like, he's got a family and like he's experienced death recently, a loss in the family. So like he's grieving, and the endings are different. And also there's multiple endings to the movie, and depending on which version you have determines which ending you got. So that's fun. I didn't realize that until doing research for this. So I'm gonna have to get a different version of my copy because apparently there's 4 different endings to this movie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I wonder which
did I.
version I saw. Yeah, I think I've only seen one then.
I've seen 2 different ones. So when I rewatched it, I got very confused when I bought it and added it to my collection. I was like, I thought it ended differently. And I'm not wrong because apparently, depending on like if it's showing on TV or this channel or that channel, if you've got a Blu-ray or the DVD, like it's completely different. So I've heard that the DVD has the happier ending and the Blu-ray gives you both options. So
Okay.
There you go. Apparently,
pick your poison. Happy or unhappy.
Yes. Apparently, test audiences liked the happier ending because he'd been through so much horrific things that they wanted him to just have a good time. So, what can you do? That's apparently pretty common. But yeah,
Make it miserable.
1408, it's again like supernatural, very reminiscent of The Shining if you like that kind of thing. And it really, I think what I like about it is it really, like, in this room that he's in, it literally just takes place in one room. He isn't leaving, and it's all happening in his head. Like, nothing's actually happening. He's just in the room. And I love the sequences where he's like seen something and like it's not really there. And the moment he realizes it's not there, something else happens. And you're not sure if it's actually happening or if, you know, whatever it is. And it's really cool how they do it. There's so many great special effects. It looks cool. And John Cusack just sells it. Like, he's so great. So it's so much fun.
I like it, you know. It's not my favorite of his movies, you know, or adaptations, but I do really like it. I know that it gets hate, and I don't think it's like a bad movie. I enjoy it, and I really like stories where it takes place in mostly one setting, and
Same.
you're really relying on like the actors' like ability to carry that, and then the story itself being interesting.
Yeah.
You really have to have an interesting story and a dynamic actor to make like mostly one setting kind of story interesting and keep people's attention, and they do.
And
a lot happens in that room.
And it's one actor most of the time.
Yep.
So the fact that he's literally just talking to his tape recorder most of the movie, that's very impressive. That like, I didn't get bored once. Maybe other people found it boring. I could watch John Cusack watch paint dry.
I love him. Yeah,
I love him. Yeah,
I thought he
great.
did great in it.
Yeah.
Right.
Ethan?
Well, first I have to say Stacey loves this movie. So.
Oh, what did you think of 1408? By the way, have you seen it?
Oh, yeah, no, I've seen it.
Okay.
Stacey's a fan of this movie. Now, you said that people shit on this movie.
They do. You're probably one of them.
Getting ready to shit on this movie.
That's okay.
I just did not like it. I just thought
When
boring.
was the last time you watched it, though?
Oh, a long time ago.
Maybe you need to give it another shot.
I will revisit it. But I just remember watching it and going, God, I'm bored. I would like to stick a fork in my eye to keep myself awake right now.
I think this is a fun one to watch with a group of people, and you just like riff on it and like have a good time.
Maybe when we all get together, we'll watch it and riff on it because I think I when I watched it, I think it was either with just Stacey or it may have even just been by myself, and I was just like, really, this is my life right now. This is my life right now. Great.
Yeah. If you're not into slow burns, you're not going to enjoy it. But I really like I know.
I'm not into slow burns.
I really like what they did with the like psychological agony and like tormenting him with the things that he has recently been through. I think that it's really fun when you've got like an entity that's kind of like, oh, you recently lost a kid? Let me stick a finger in that wound and twist. Like, yeah, I think that's so interesting. Like, I think it's interesting how your brain works. I think it's interesting how everybody reacts to different things. And so I'm more into like the psychological type horror, I guess.
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
Well, I'll give it another rewatch, and I'll let you know if my.
I mean, it's totally fine if you don't like it.
Right. No, absolutely. That's what makes this great. We don't have to agree. We don't have to agree on everything. But,
exactly.
You know, I will always give things a second chance. So
Same.
I'll give it a second chance, and you know, maybe I was having a bad day. Maybe I was just off that day, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. But
And honestly, I don't know why, but some movies I feel like they need subsequent viewings for you to like. There's movies I've watched. I don't know what it is, but I watch it and I'm like, I don't know how I felt about that. I was just talking about that, not horror, but Burn After Reading, which is a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, I was kind of like, it's good, but I kind of felt whatever about it. But the second time I watched it, I was like, oh man, this is like way better than I like remember it being. And so like that one, I don't know what it was, but something about it took me watching it again to really like connect with it. And I love it now.
what breaks my heart is when you really think you enjoyed a movie and then you go back and rewatch it and it's not as good as you remember.
That's the worst. That
happened to
has
me
happened.
recently, and I'm afraid to say what movie it was because like people love this movie, and I was like, oh God, it's not good. Like the ending's not good.
The absolute best Stephen King movie,
In your opinion?
in my opinion, that there is. Now, this movie ranks up in my top 3 movies of all time.
Ever? Wow.
Yes.
Like other genres?
Like other genres, all genres.
3.
Yes,
Wow.
top 3.
Okay.
So
Oh, wow.
it goes Halloween, which is obviously my favorite movie,
Yes.
and then The Breakfast Club, and then this movie.
What is
So-
it?
What is it? What is it?
Okay. It is the adaptation of Stephen King's novel, The Body.
Body
Stand
Doubles?
by me.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Stand by
Okay.
me. With
Okay.
Will
So
Wheaton,
good.
River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, Jerry O'Connell, Kiefer Sutherland, Richard Dreyfuss, John Cusack. First of all, can we just stop and look at that cast and go, oh my God, how freaking phenomenal is that cast?
such talent. Like,
That's
oh
the
my.
first thing. Yeah, it's awesome. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, it's not a horror movie.
Yeah.
It's a coming of age story about these 4 12-year-olds who they're friends and they're like, hey, it's 1959, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah, 1959 in Oregon. And they're like, hey, somebody got hit by a train. You want to go see a dead body? He's our age. So they're like, okay, we're all going to camp out at your house. And then they were going to take this trek to see them. And then, the older kids come after them, blah, blah, blah. But it's just the journey to go see them to where they take and they start discovering things about themselves and about
Yes.
their friendship and the strengthening of their friendship and how it's basically when you get to the end, it's the choice to do right in your life or wrong in your life. It's probably one of the best coming of age movies that I think I've ever seen.
Yes.
Yes. That's why it's like top 3 in for all my movies. It's phenomenal. I absolutely love this movie. Watch it at the very least once a year. I mean, it's great. So, what are all y'all's thoughts on this movie?
Oh my
Jamie?
God. You picked like definitely one of the best Stephen King adaptations of all time. And again, this is like an era like that he writes so well. And it also is just, it films well too. You know what I mean? Like really captures the spirit of the time and then the spirit of their age. And I will say there's some moments in that movie that like really, really touched me so deeply. Like there's some conversations between characters that have to do with their friendship and even a realization that they're coming to different points in their lives, right? And that their lives might not intersect as much. And, but just like the level of love, like for each other, even with that realization, like really, really beautiful stuff. Like, some of those monologues in that movie, like really, really hit you about just friendship and life, honestly. So it is a very, very solid film. And I think it's pretty much widely considered to be one of the best Stephen King adaptations.
I think so.
I love this movie. I've only seen it the one time. I don't know if I could sit through it again just because it's a lot of feelings.
You feel your feelings in this movie.
A lot of feelings.
Yeah, lots of feelings. I actually slept on this for a long time. I didn't watch it till COVID.
Oh, okay.
And like I remember people were always talking about it. I didn't realize it was Stephen King until much later. And then I heard about all these people that were in it, and I was like, oh my God, why haven't I seen this? Like, hello. And I finally watched it, and I was like sobbing through the entire movie. Like the monologues, Jamie, like you mentioned, they're so good, and they're delivered by these kids. Like,
who are so talented.
They're all of them, like individually, are talented on their own, and then you get them all together in like a group. Like, it's insane. It's baffling. Like this movie it's a lot. So have a box of tissues with you because you're not human if you don't cry during this movie. Like that should be a test if you start to date somebody. Like
I know. If somebody just sits there like deadpan, cold face, you're like, there's something inside of that person's brain that's maybe not good.
Right.
And the 4 kids, the 4 main characters, they could not have picked in my
better
opinion. They
group.
could not have picked a better group of kids. And I don't know if when they wrote the movie, they said, okay, these are our 4 actors. Now we're going to put you in a room together for 6 months, or what they did to them. But I actually believed that they were friends. I did not believe that they were acting. I believed that they were friends that they had grown up with. They had seen the hard times and the, the good times and the bad times with each other. They knew the ins and the outs, and, I liked this girl, and, she did this, and, they knew all each other's secrets and everything. And I was like,
oh yeah,
this works so well together.
And I think they were just already friends because of like how prolific they all were by this point. Like I think they were all famous by this point, like pretty well known. Because they're all child actors anyways. But I know a lot of people know this story, but I just wanted to share because I feel like it deserves to be shared every single time Stand By Me comes up. The first time Stephen King saw this movie was at the premiere, and he hadn't seen any of it before. And everybody had like left the theater. Well, there was still one person left in the theater, and it was Stephen King. And I don't know who came up to him, but they were like, "Hey, like, are you okay?" And he was like sobbing, and he was like, "Those were my friends."
Oh,
he was like, "It was such a faithful adaptation. Like, those were my friends."
Oh, so I was gonna say, I know that Stephen King was really impressed by this one. I think he thinks it's one of the best adaptations of one of his stories. So
yeah,
that's a really sweet story that he felt really moved by it.
I love him so much. He's such a good soul. I haven't read the book. I'd be curious to check it out. Is it a short story? Do we know?
I think it is. Yeah, The Body is what it's called. Yeah, I've been meaning to read it, but I'm pretty sure it's a short story.
How funny that I think all of ours, other than Pet Sematary. Well, no, Jamie, you had the novels mostly.
I had Pet Sematary, and then The Monkey is a short story.
Okay, so only 2 were novels. The rest were either short stories or written directly for TV by him. So I think that says a lot for his career.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, also, like, if you look at some of his like the novels, some of them are huge. Like, I mean, with the miniseries, he had said he was just impressed that they took on the book at all and like were able to do what they did with it when it's like, it's a big book.
It's a huge book.
Yeah. So he was like, I'm impressed.
I'm impressed I made it through
the
book.
That's big.
Yeah.
So those are our top 3 picks. Now, do we have any other ones from Stephen King that we like that maybe didn't make the top 3?
Well, I'll say too, since you're misunderstood.
What was yours?
Hearts in Atlantis. It's got Anthony Hopkins in it.
Okay.
It's very similar to the one you were mentioning, Ethan, about Apt People, where it's a kid who like meets this elderly gentleman, and he's not quite right, but it's for different reasons. He's not a Nazi. He's got some other things, and I'm not going to say.
Okay. I haven't seen it, so
great movie, not a horror movie, but it's a thriller, and it's really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jamie, any other ones that you really like?
Yeah.
I know you didn't do your top 3, but
yeah, I know. I misunderstood the assignment a little bit, although Pet Sematary is one of my favorites, and I do really love the other 2 I mentioned, which were It and The Monkey. But I really love Misery. I didn't mention that one before, but Misery is one of my favorites. I mean, again, this is like a very small cast, the story is like, the storytelling is really good. The character work is great. Like the acting is top notch, like so good. And there are some just moments in that one that like, they're pretty like unforgettable and iconic.
I'm still at the edge of my seat watching that movie every time, dude. Like it's so good. Yeah.
And then definitely. I also really love Carrie. I mean, it's Brian De Palma.
Oh
it's
God. How
fabulous.
Not like Carrie. That movie's awesome.
I know, the acting is great. Like the look of the movie is like just wonderful. Yeah. So have to mention those 2.
Yes. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I love Carrie. I totally forgot about Misery. Oh my God. Well, I will say like I'm a reader if you don't know, I love books. And Stephen King is one of the first sections in a bookstore I go to because he usually has his own little section carved out because there's so many of his books.
So many.
And in fact, at home in my little living room area, I have like a whole shelf dedicated to Stephen King. And I could go on and on about all the books I love, but my favorite series by him is, of course, the Dark Tower series. It's so good. And again, Stephen King, I love how he weaves in other stories that he's written, and he weaves in other characters that you've met.
Yeah.
So you've got people from The Stand in the Dark Tower series. You've got people from It in the Dark Tower series. You've Salem's Lot. You've got the priest from that. Like
Salem's Lot.
Dark Tower is such a great series. It'll never be able to be faithfully adapted. They've tried. It's not going to happen. And there's so much of Stephen King's biography woven in there as well. Like he put himself in the story, like, and he doesn't talk nice about himself, which I think is fascinating. Like he talks about like his struggles with addiction, like his main characters meet him and they're like, "Oh, you're going to save us." And he's like, "I don't want to do any of that." Like, and then like his main characters literally end up saving him during his car accident that is like a major turning point in his life. And
big time.
Yeah, it's like such a great series. And like, if you know things about Stephen King, it's all the more enjoyable. So that's probably my favorite. And like, it connects so well with The Stand. So if you love The Stand, you're going to like these books too. So, but I know it's not adaptations, but like if we're talking Stephen King, I feel like we have to talk about all of Stephen King.
This is a Stephen King show. It's not just his adaptations. So.
And also Stephen King loves corgis and I love corgis. So like, I just want to be friends with him so bad.
Did not know that.
He's got corgis.
I'd love to do there's a tour that you can do in Maine of Stephen King.
Old house.
Yeah. And like Stephen King kind of centric like locations. Cause obviously Maine is like a big part of a lot of his story. So I would love to do that one day. He's a very interesting person. Like I would definitely like to meet Stephen King. Yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah. I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about The Shining and Dr. Sleep as well. Oh, great books. 2 of my top favorite books of all time by him. And the movies are great. Like I everything Stephen King touches is usually great. So
gotcha. Well, a couple more adaptations that I just want to throw out there. Great werewolf movie is Silver Bullet.
Yeah, I love Silver Bullet.
Love that movie. I think it's awesome. And then Riding the Bullet.
Oh,
great movie.
Riding the Bullet's cool.
I remember watching that many times, and I was going to rewatch it. And I'm going to wait because if you know what the movie's about.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait on that because I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to start bawling like a little bitch. Anyway, and then Tales from the Dark Side.
No.
Great.
Love that movie.
I do have another one to mention that we haven't brought up. I won't go too long on it, but I will say Cujo is hard to watch because it's kind of a sad story in a lot of ways. But I have to say, like Dee Wallace in that, she is like so amazing.
Yes.
Like give that woman a late Oscar or whatever. Because it was that a TV one, a mini like a TV movie, or was that a movie?
I think it was a movie.
Yeah, I think it was a movie.
Anyway, I always thought her performance in that movie was so good, so strong. Yeah. I mean, she's in that car, and she's got this dog and her kid is going into like he's having his medical problems and like she's just got to like hold it down and her performance kills me,
right?
I know.
Yeah.
I will say that's another movie I slept on of his, but like because I was like, how are they going to be able to keep this like as a feature film going? And like I was very impressed when I saw it. I have only seen it the one time, but like
it's so good.
You didn't mention one, Ethan.
What?
Corn.
Children of the Corn. My God, yes. Everybody knows I love Children of the Corn.
Yeah,
I know you do.
Everybody knows. And I like like the first 6 Children of the Corn. I mean, I do like them all, but except for the remake. The remake.
Yeah.
So bad.
That was bad.
Obviously, the original Children of the Corn is absolutely phenomenal. I love that. that really is a very good movie. I enjoyed the movie.
It's grown on me, and I think it's
like the
because
first one.
after we saw them,
Right.
I was like, I do enjoy it. I think he's a great actor.
I used to like run around the house and just scream Outlander. Like in the movie. And my mother would be like, "What is wrong with you?"
I wish I'd grown up with this movie because I totally
I finally found a shirt that had Courtney Gaines on it.
I
and
love
it says
Courtney Gaines
Outlander
too.
on it.
You
Ah.
never see Children of the Corn
Which
stuff
is
anymore.
So great. Oh, it's
that's
hard to find
awesome.
Children of the Corn stuff.
It's a travesty.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
You know.
Mark Children of the Corn merch.
That's right.
The original, not
Yes.
any of the new crap. We'd like to forget about that.
Terror Threads, get on that, please.
Yeah,
Yep.
please.
We see you.
But guys,
Oh,
tell us
yeah.
what your favorite ones are, and tell us what your least favorite ones are.
We'd love to hear from you.
Please.
Yes, because there's so much to choose from, and he continues to have people adapt his work because he's got that little clause where if you want to do a short story, you can pick whatever one you want. Like he doesn't care. I think that's why so many of his short stories have adaptations.
Totally.
So because it's usually like free, I think. So
yeah.
Yep. But that's all we have for you tonight. So let us know what you thought of the Stephen King episode. If you'd like to hear more about our thoughts on other horror writers, I'd love to do that. I'm a big reader. So just remember, if you ever find yourself in a horror movie, don't have sex.
Don't do drugs.
And certainly, don't die. We'll see you next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye.